Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Next Level Real Talk Podcast, where we have conversations on the journey of personal transformation and the pursuit of lasting peace and happiness with Sheldon and David. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Next Level Real Talk Podcast with Sheldon and David.
Yeah, welcome back, and just letting you know this. If you're listening in order throughout all this, this is going to be the Tuesday before Thanksgiving. It's after the election, and a lot of things going on, and hoping that you're going to enjoy this season, and hope you have that smile on. And glad you're back. We're excited to have you back. So we have some great things to talk about today.
Yeah, we wanted to also say thank you to Daryl Hanks, who was our guest for the last two episodes. There was a week in between, and hope you guys had a chance to listen to those. He has a beautiful, inspiring, and fascinating story of
Big time.
the power of the Holy Spirit and Jesus to transform somebody, both individually within his own personal transformation, and then his ability to become the channel through which that transformation happens through for other people through his
Yeah,
ministry, right?
helping
Through
them get things out, literally.
yeah,
Getting those issues out. So, yeah, if you haven't listened to him, go back and listen to him because they were inspiring and interesting. So, great
yeah,
guy, great
fascinating.
guy.
I think he didn't want to over dramatize some of this stuff, but basically,
Mhm.
it's like the word
Yeah.
exorcism. He can exercise things and release.
hmm
Um,
It's
uh,
hard for people to understand that sometimes. It's not that it's taboo. It's just like, oh, that's hard for me to understand. But if you listen to him, he's kind of explains it really well, and
he did a
it's
great
not like,
job of just being
oh,
very down to earth about how he explained everything. I
yeah,
thought it was great. So
yeah.
definitely
So,
appreciate
mhm.
him sharing his story with us.
Well, thank you,
Um,
brother. So many, if you're
yeah, it
listening, I know
was
you are. Thank you, brother.
yeah, it was
So,
awesome and beautiful. Really appreciate that.
yeah.
Um, and now we're kind of post election, and I think that was even wrapping around some of the episodes we did with him.
hmm
Um, but
Yeah.
there can be a lot of anxiety, right? We were talking about this before we started recording.
Yep. There's
A
that
lot of
anxiety of, well, one, the excitement of whoever you voted for won. Depends on if it's top of the ballot or middle of the ballot, down the ballot. I always talk about that. Or it's you've lost several of those, or your main one, or whatever. But as you and I were talking earlier, it's hard because if you lose something, you lost. This is what I wanted. You voted for it. But I think there's a way to process through that, going like, okay, um, lost, but how do I make that, instead of obsessing on it, understand that, okay, yeah, we lost, but this is where we're going to move forward and hopefully going to help see some things positive out of it, instead of always finding the negative in that other side, whether you're, or as you said, Sheldon, earlier, uh, boasting about the win. That's going totally opposite side and being the aggressive on that side and being the hater on the other side. It's like, it's got to find that, yes, I lost. Yes, I won, and just accept where you are, you know?
well, when you teach your children, right? Be humble in victory,
Mhm.
gracious in defeat, right? And
Mhm.
we literally teach the kids that, right? Not to be boastful, not to rub it in, right? To be humble, and when you lose, to be gracious, to be humble, right? And to
Mhm.
accept things, and to be uh, you know to lose or win with grace, and how do we do that? I think that
Yeah.
that's one of the key things that's coming up. And how do you keep that place of peace, which is again the recurring theme I think for our show, right? Is how do you find that place of peace
Yeah.
regardless of what's happening in the external circumstances, right? Because even beyond the borders of the United States, right, we have so much stuff going on internationally, whether you're talking about
Mhm.
Gaza, whether you're talking about the Ukraine war,
Ukraine. Yeah. Yep.
you're talking, the U.S. is firing. We allowed them to fire missiles into
Arm missiles.
Russia,
Yeah.
or you know what I mean, which Putin
Yep.
has said is a direct attack from NATO onto Russia. You know what I mean? It's just like, wow, there's a lot to be freaking out about if you want. And that's,
Yes.
I think, that's the key, right? Is no matter what's happening, you have a choice.
Yeah. And
And
and you could be, strong and about, okay, I'm just going to pick one, okay, strong about the Russian Ukrainian war. That's good because you have that feeling that you need to be strong about it. But it's when you obsess about it and you let it ruin everything else going around you, that's when you need to start finding some peace. I'm not saying that
Yeah.
you're gonna be like, okay, good, the war is going on. Well, 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 well. No, that's not what we're saying. We're saying just know that yes, it may be hard for you and you have a care for it, but it's how much you take to it that could overflow too much.
Yeah, you have to be able to figure out the balance point first, right?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's why I always like to say the judgment's in the head. This is good, this is bad, this is right, this is wrong,
Mhm.
blah, 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 right? That you have to get out of that dualistic polarity in your brain and drop into your heart and then allow your heart to guide you for what you want to do. And then you align in that direction, right? And so it's
Yeah.
about dropping into the alignment of love, unconditional love and compassion, right? You drop into that place that's okay no matter what. And then you align. Yes, this is what I'd like to see moving forward. This is where I want to align my energy. So your energy is in alignment, not in opposition. And
Yes.
that's really hard for people to understand because when you're in opposition to something, you're creating oppositional energy. When you push something, it wants to push back. When you push a
Yes.
person, they're going to push back. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? You push somebody up against a wall, they're going to fight, you know? And so, but when you can come down into your heart and look at that person as your brother, as your neighbor, as your friend, as you, as,
Yeah.
um, as
Oh,
yourself.
I'll take a political thing, right? I just as you're talking, I thought it was about something political, and so I don't care what side you're on this with the Department of Education. They're talking about one side says, "Get rid of it. It's done. Bye. We don't need that Department of Education anymore federally." Another side's like, "Well, we need Department of Education because that gives us that helps us as this." And so you know what? So and there both sides are fighting. So that there's that fight that you're talking about. Well, what about
Mhm.
that? Yes, this side that says get rid of it is like, well, it costs too much. It's too expensive. Well, you're right. So this side needs it. Okay, let's figure out how we can still have it, but maybe not have it cost as much, which is going to hurt.
Sure.
It's not going to be easy, to
Mhm.
take money away from a Department of Education and the national, level. But there's a way to bring it together and say, oh, so maybe we need to lessen a little bit. Maybe we need to not get rid of it, but just not have it as much.
Yeah.
So
Right.
that's exactly what you're talking about. There's that right real life. How do we make things work? But right
Yeah.
now we're boop, boop, the
Yeah.
polar opposite. So we can't,
Yeah.
hopefully we'll find that middle ground or somewhere. So
And it's like how you feel or how you align, is that going to change the outcome of a war? You know, and on one level you could say it doesn't. On an esoteric spiritual level, they would say like, Thich Nhat Hanh, the Buddhist monk said, be the peace you want to see in the world. You have to be the
mhm,
peace first. You have to find that peace within you. That whole idea that when this happens, this happens, this happens, and this happens, then I'll be happy, right? And that can be on a
mm,
global scale. Oh, gee, when all wars are over, when this person gets elected versus this person, when I'm rich, when I have this, blah, 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 whatever those external circumstances, then I'll be happy. That puts
mm,
you in this energy of victimhood that you are never in control or in charge of your life. You never
mm,
have the capacity to choose. And the truth of the matter is, as much as people feel that, and I know that some people feel that powerfully, and I know that some people have tremendous amounts of anxiety and fear, and it can be overwhelming for people. Their minds are right now are spinning so hard, uh, which is, by the way, I always talk about that training the mind, right? And the
yep,
practicing when you're not spinning,
mhm,
when it's not so bad, so that you can be ready when it does get bad. Unfortunately, right now, it's kind of really bad in the whole global scale. You know what I mean? So it's almost
mhm,
like practice time is running out. You really need to have
yeah,
grounded in that practice, years ago. We started that practice years and years ago. So we're
mhm.
pretty good at using that tool right now, right? But
If
being
you if
able,
you if you haven't had that practice and you're just listening, you're starting to say, "How do I do all this stuff?" And you've listened to some of our episodes, you can still do it. It's going to be tough because there's so much going on. You just have to really focus yourself and ground yourself and say, "Don't think about what's going on outside. Just think, myself, myself. Get inside me. Get inside. Relax." and then start thinking about
Yeah.
what you need to start thinking about, at that point.
Yeah, and I think that it's hard because there's so much to distract you,
Hmm.
but it's
Totally.
easier because the energy of the universe is supporting us to go within our hearts. I really believe that there's a fundamental vibrational shift of the planet to support love, to support
Hmm.
people turning inside and connecting to that unconditional love that's within ourselves, right? And
Yeah.
but there's so much distraction. What's really hard is even taking the time to try. You know what I mean? Like people aren't
Yep.
even willing to try because they're so
And
distracted by what's outside.
and that's what I was gonna. That was one of the points I was bringing up. So thank you, leading right into that. The We've talked. Sheldon's talked about, okay, do this. 6 times a day, do 1 minute or 5 minutes or whatever, and which is that's what you need to be doing. Maybe you're starting out. You can't do that. You're like, one, my body can't do that. I can't function. I'm gonna give you 3 times. One in the morning when you get up, just do. It doesn't have to be a 12-hour session. Just do a couple minutes. Just relax,
Just
let your
slow your
body
breathing down and
just
do a
slow it
nice
down
long slow breath for two
and let
minutes.
everything go. Yeah, clear my mind. Clear. When you say clear your mind, you're not clearing it because you're thinking that, but let things go and just let your body relax. That gets you going for the day. Lunchtime. Oh, it's time for lunch. Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to take 2 minutes and I'm just going to breathe. I'm just going to breathe. And then you come home, do it again. There's 3 times that are really good, easy, quick times you can do it. And then eventually hopefully you get into a situation like you see something that's, oh, that stresses me out. Hold on. What's going on with this picture? What's going on in the situation? Oh, I wish it would be this, but I'm not going to you know, kill myself on this situation because it's going to really bring me down. But that breathing, so once you get the 3 throughout the day, then when something starts triggering you, do the breaths. And that's where Sheldon's talking about. Do it more throughout the day because then you start practicing like, oh, here I am. I can do this before I have a conversation with this person coming in and wanting to talk to me about it or
Yeah.
read this whole article. So,
It's just like having a tool.
mhm.
It's like having uh, having a gun as a weapon of self-defense, and you've never used it and you've never looked at it and you never held it and you never fired it. And then when the moment happens, you don't even know how to load it and you don't know how to, you're freaking out and your hands are shaking and you drop the thing and you drop the bullets all over the place because you don't know what to do, right? It's like it's too late, right? But
Mhm.
if you went to the range, you learned how to practice, you took safety classes, you took classes, you fired the thing a bunch of times, you're totally comfortable and competent with that thing, that tool, when you needed to use it, you would be able to use it from a place of calm, right? And even if you're
Exactly.
not calm, you can use the thing properly. And that's kind of what the idea of it is that,
Mhm.
um, and I know that for some people that have a tremendous amount of unrest or unsettledness in their mind right now with the
Mhm.
circumstances going on. This sounds like total bullshit. I get it. Um, but I think that the fundamental thing is that people have to realize that it's possible to be at peace right now.
Mhm.
It's possible to to release the worry, the fear, the anxiety, whatever it is that's disturbing your state of mind, that it is possible to do that regardless of what's happening in the external world. And that can
Yes.
include the external world being your physical body too, right? That it's within
Mhm.
the center of your beingness and the center of your chest and the center of your energetic heart, that there's a stillness in there, there's a place in there that you can get to, the divine spark, the Christ within, the face of Christ, see the face of Christ within your brother. All of those things are talking about it in Hinduism, the self with a capital S, self-realization. It's about
Mhm.
connecting to this place that's within you that is undisturbed by anything that's happening in the external world. And it becomes more and more important as these things ratchet up in the external world in your life. Things are getting more intense. Economy's wild, wars are
Yep.
wild, you know,
Yep.
politics is
Yeah.
wild. Everything is getting more crazy. Everything.
Totally. And
You know,
and future freaking. I'm gonna use that again. As
future tripping.
Sarah.
Yep,
Future
future
tripping.
tripping.
Future tripping. Yeah. That's sorry, Sarah. Future tripping. The Right now, okay. Oh, Trump became president. Oh, this is what's gonna happen. Blah, blah, blah. Like, wait a minute. One, he's not even president yet. Okay, give it time for him to be president. Yes, he says some things that are going to happen. Do we know what's going to happen? No, we don't. And in my world, I was future tripping. Sheldon brought me through a lot of stuff. He's like, you need to stop thinking about that. Worry about today. Okay. And then
This
get through
instant.
today.
Yeah.
What's that?
Right now. Right
Yes.
now.
Hmm.
Sometimes it's not even today. Sometimes it's not even an hour from now. Sometimes it's right frickin' now. Just
Yeah.
worry about this instant. Right now, you're
Yep.
sitting in the chair. Is there anything bad going on? No. Then stop. And that's
Yeah.
it. You know what I mean? It's like hard bringing it all back
Hmm.
to the present moment. And that's
Yeah.
hard.
It's
It's
very hard.
hard.
And as Sheldon knows, he can probably talk more because I was not a full mind back in the when I was going through all this with him. But I was doing that future trip and going like, what am I going to do? Because I was going through the divorce and like, what my world was this way, and now I'm not even. It's just a, I don't know where I am, and so I'd stop thinking about what's going to happen then. Go, where am I at now? I just need to get through this next hour. Then I can go through the next couple hours. Then I go through this next day. Then okay, now I'm going to work on this week because I couldn't. Oh, if I started thinking about okay, what am I? How am I going to function this weekend? Well, you're not even through Monday yet. So forget about Saturday because you may not make it till Wednesday. So you got to worry about today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it an over stimulates your mind. There's too much going. It's like, okay, what do I need to get through today? And that's where I went in school. Thankfully, I had a structure to where, okay, we got an hour of class. Let's get through this thing. Boom, 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 boom. Breathe, relax. Okay, you got one more hour. Breathe. Bah, 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 bah. Stop. So that I had that structure, um, but
That they
it's
gave
that.
you opportunities and forced
Yeah.
you. You were committed to doing it, but it also
Yes.
gave you the opportunity to take a break every hour and to quiet
Yes.
and
Hmm.
to tune in and quiet.
And I'll tell you,
And
doing that, and yes, now I do see the future, what's going on. I need to think about the future, but I'm not tripping out about going like, oh my gosh, is this going to happen? I mean, what am I going to do? And you just got to. I know it's hard. It's really hard, people. We're not. Sheldon and I are never saying this is easy. It was so hard for me not to go like, well, what's going to happen here? My life is going this way. I want to go. This is what I wanted. You stop, where am I right now? And the rest of it's going to take its place. And in all my devotionals and even in the Bible itself, I cannot quote the exact areas, but it says, God says, stop thinking about the future because I'm not there. I'm with you right now.
it's like rest in
You got
me.
to, yeah. So just
That I
be here now. I'll get you through today to get you through tomorrow. And then I'll go through tomorrow to get you through the next day. And I look back on my little world on things that I've done. I'm like, what's this? If I didn't do those things like 20, 30, 40 years ago, I would have not have made it to today because I was being trained and thought then. And if I thought about the future too much, I wouldn't have been learning what I needed to for the next step, which I needed to learn there to get to the next step to finally get to where I am. I mean, coaching swim and dive, who would have thunk? Okay. Teaching, who would have thunk? No one in my life back in high school would have thought either of those were part of my world. And so here I am. So you just got to trust first off, but you just got to stop and go, where am I right now? Where are we right now? And then focus from there. That's the stop, drop, and breathe. Okay, just
and
you know,
being able to witness. We've talked about that many times. Witnessing, right? I honestly don't remember if I've talked about this, but is the whole bathtub, right? And so you got a bathtub, big old beautiful bear claw bathtub, right? Filled with water.
mhm,
And it's got all these waves in it because you turn the faucet off and there's all these ripples in the water. And forcing yourself to calm the water, to quiet the water, forcing yourself to quiet your mind. When I say push the thoughts out or I'm going to quiet my mind, and you think you're going to force yourself and you're going to intentionally
mhm,
create a calm mind with your will, is like taking your hands and trying to smooth the water of a bathtub. Every
yeah,
time you touch the water, you've created more waves, right? So you're sitting there and you're going like this and you're patting the water down. And oh, there's another wave. Oh, and then the next thing you know, that thing is just totally raucous and chaotic. And you've got waves and you're splashing water everywhere, right? Because you've literally disturbed the water. However, if you just turned the faucet off and you sat there for a minute and watched the water, what would happen? Maybe it takes 5 minutes, maybe it takes 10 minutes, but if you just did nothing but witness and watch the water, it would eventually become perfectly still.
Hmm.
That's what happens to your mind. And the thing about it is that most of our minds are so chaotic and so unsettled and so turbulent that we don't even believe it's possible to have a still mind. People don't think that that's the thing, but the
Hmm.
irony of it is that a perfectly still mind, like a tub of water that is perfectly still, or the still calm lake the Taoists and the Buddhists like to use, the perfectly still lake that reflects the moon perfectly, right? Like it's the perfect reflection because it's so still. They use that imagery all the time. Is actually the natural state of the mind. So
Oh.
when you aren't in that state, your mind is in its unnatural state. And yet our minds are so busy spinning and churning all the time that people think that's the normal way it is, and that you got to take a drug to calm it down, right?
Hmm.
Whether you're taking you know, a medication or a street drug or whatever
Yeah.
you're doing to try and mess with your mental states. That's the only way to do it. And real power, real personal power, comes from you understanding you have the ability to settle that thing yourself. And it's
And
really through letting go and witnessing and all that. Good.
and what you're talking about brings me back to what you taught me and made me read and practice was from the Untethered Soul was that cloud, and I do it to this day. It's like I'm sitting in those thoughts where I mean people I yeah, it was 5 billion things going on in there. And it's like all of a sudden I'm trying to clear my mind, per se, as we're talking about, just trying to relax and meditate and just breathe. And but thoughts would come in, boom, 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 because your brains want to do that. That's what your brain's supposed to do. But instead of focusing on that thought, I would just let that cloud go by. Yes, at first that cloud was gray and just would sit there and stick and move and kind of go
And it
here.
hooks you like a fish.
Mhm. You look at it.
It
Oh,
hooks you.
oh, oh,
Yeah,
oh.
you start thinking
Yeah.
about that cloud. Oh my God. Da, da,
Mhm.
da. So if the cloud is the thought about your ex, oh well, she da, 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 right? And now
And it
you're in
goes down a rabbit
stories,
hole. Yep.
and now
Go
you're
down
down
the
the
rabbit
rabbit
hole.
hole.
Mhm.
Yep.
So I learned just to, okay, that thought's there.
So
Just let
what?
it go.
Yeah.
It went away. It went that way. It's like, yeah, yes, that is a good thought. That is real, but let it go. It's nothing I
Yep.
need to worry about. It's your brain, and that's where my brain would go. I'd go down those deep rabbit holes because I'd let that cloud stick. But it's like,
Yep.
no, let that cloud go. And so if you get a chance, please read that Untethered Soul because that really helped me. And that made me think about what that cloud was. That's what if you
Yep.
want to know what the cloud is, read that book because that's where it comes from. So
Yep.
um that to me was clearing my mind. We're always going to have something. Okay.
Yep.
And as I said earlier, if I'm saying clear my mind, you're not
That's a
clearing your
thought.
mind because your mind's thinking. So, so you know, there's always something there. So don't do it. Well, how do they get nothing in their mind? Well, are us we can't at this point. I
Yep.
mean, there's
Yep.
levels that people can do that, but we can't do that. But know that you can lessen those thoughts to where it's calm,
Yep.
so I do that at night when my brain's racing. I just go clear your brain, clear your brain. And so my brain is now thinking about the words clear your brain instead of all those 60,000 things that I was going down the rabbit hole with that I couldn't sleep.
Hmm.
It's like clear. Oh well, clear. Oh, I'm just clear. I'm clear. Boom.
Yep.
Because all it hears is clear, 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 clear.
Yeah. That's
Not.
like a mantra. That's the
Yeah.
power of a mantra when somebody says whether it's even a prayerful
Mhm.
word or or whatever. It can be simple as clear. You know,
Yeah. So
be still, whatever, right?
yeah.
And then that's why people have mantras or prayers or whatever they can say repeatedly, right? And that gives your mind a singular thing to focus on, which is easier than clearing the mind, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Think about one single thing. That's it,
Mhm.
and boom, and then that
Yeah.
is way calmer than the chaos of the mind when it's worried about something and freaking out
Mhm.
and
And I think
overstimulated.
that helps in this thing we're talking about with the political season is all those things are they're bouncing off in your brain. Just kind of bring it down maybe to one thought and just kind of go, am I? But that helps you start going down and getting into who you are here. So into your,
Hmm.
I'm going here by the way. I can't see my
Hmm.
hands. So you're going into your heart and going, okay, relax. Maybe that there is a cloud or two that's going to stick, but it's nice to have one or two stick than 16 or 20
Mhm.
or 100 of them sticking in your brain going,
Mhm.
okay, let's just breathe and relax. Hopefully those clouds can all go by, and
Yeah.
it's still going to be there in your life, but it's not going to be that huge dark cloud over you.
And when we talk about, stop, drop into the heart and breathe,
Mhm.
right? Stop, drop, and breathe,
Mhm.
and then align with what you want to align with in terms of action. Okay, I need to do this, I need to do that. I think one of the great practices for alignment is gratitude, right? So, and
Mhm.
everybody talks about gratitude journals and writing down what you're grateful for and all that kind of stuff. And in the Golden Sun meditation, I talk about seeing or feeling something that makes you feel grateful, love, and gratitude in that moment. But even if you just stop, drop, and breathe, your mind's tripping, you stop for a moment, you drop into your heart, you breathe for a couple of moments, and you quiet your mind a little bit. The next thing that fits in perfect, is in keeping with the season that we're in, which is the week before Thanksgiving, is
Mhm.
giving thanks, right? So how do you, what do you, what can you be grateful for, Um, and the fact that you're in a room that's enclosed and protected from the elements, the fact that when you
Mhm.
turn a faucet on it has water, the fact that you can eat some food, the
Mhm.
fact that uh, you know you can get from point A to point B with some mode of transportation that's not your feet, that
Yeah.
kind of thing, getting to real super basic things. And the fact that your body works and maybe it works to some
It
extent or
does.
whatever it is, there are
Mhm.
things that you could think about that you could, if you choose, to be grateful for in this
Mhm.
moment,
And
right?
we're all different, and understand
Right.
that, where I am is not where Sheldon is not where you are, is not where my daughter is not where my friends are. And it's okay that Sheldon's at this level doing this, oh, but I'm not there, I'm not his level. Well, I'm at a different level. He has a different career than I've got. Doesn't mean that he's better or worse than I am. It just means that
100%.
he's going there. I got to be okay where I am and go be grateful for
Yes.
what I am where I am.
That's beautiful,
For
dude.
years,
That's perfect.
everyone kept saying, "You need to have a house. You need to have a house." It's like, in my world, I did not need a house then. I did
Mhm.
not want a house at that point, because empty house for me, I would not have been here
Meant.
today. I
Yep.
would have been in a pine box
Yep.
somewhere,
Yep.
because I mean, empty room, there's no daughter, there's no
Yep.
wife, there's
Yep.
nothing in here but me. And that would have put me down that bad. That wouldn't have been a rabbit
Sure.
hole. That'd have been a death hole.
Yeah. Yeah.
So for me, and it was financial stuff too, but everyone kept saying, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this, gotta do this. Well, I'm not at your level. I'm at my level, and I'm okay with where I am. And so that's one thing we have to accept, is like, encourage someone. We've said it before, but don't force them, because ask them, where you at? And I sat down. I'll be right up front right now. I sat down with Josh and Ashley because they wanted me to buy a house out here. Kept asking me. I sat down and said, guys, here's why I'm not doing it. I don't have to talk about it. It's finances and things that happened. I had to take care of this, this, and this. And so I'm finally getting out to where my credit score is back up. Okay. So now I
Mhm.
can buy a house. And I told them, until that happens, I cannot buy a house. And guess what? Boom. Took care of some things, got it back up. Here I am in a house. So it's
Yeah.
like on my time frame, not on Sheldon's time frame, not on Ashley's time frame, not on anybody else's but your own. And so don't get caught up into peer pressure or the Joneses. Stay in your world and go, and maybe have to explain that to some people. Maybe hard. It was hard to tell my daughter and son-in-law that it's because of my credit score and my finances from the divorce that I couldn't do this. That's not a conversation anyone to humble yourself. That was hard for me to do that in front of them.
Yep.
Okay. As they're making, great money, which is, and they're making, yeah. Josh, when he got his first job, well, Josh, you can tell me, I know you're going to make more than I am. I'm a teacher. You're an engineer. And so it's like, being able to have that conversation, going, like, Josh, I know you're making more than me. It's okay. And it was good for him to kind of be humble, going like, no, dude, it's okay to talk about that. And so
Yep.
be willing to have those conversations and open up. If people are pressuring you for this, 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 and this, explain why. Oh,
Mhm.
because they're coming from where they are. And you need to be careful when you're talking to people. Don't come from where you are. find out where they're coming from and help them get to where they need to go, not to where you want them to go. That's
Mhm.
huge. And it's hard because you want them to have what, because you think what is the best. Okay. But that's the best for you. But what's the
Right.
best for them?
Right.
So yeah, and in this Thanksgiving season, um, that's a hard thing around the Thanksgiving table at times, because if you're around a family, well, you should be doing this. Well, sorry, mom, this is where I am. Sorry, dad. Sorry, brother, or whatever, whoever you're with.
Yep.
It's going to be an anxiety at times. So for some, it's just a great joy. It's just awesome, I'm sometimes jealous of that because it doesn't always happen. Um, but you have to go in and go, okay, this is where I am. This is hard. And again, I'll be up front, and I'm not being mean to anybody. It's me. When I go to family functions with Ashley, Josh, and the rest of the extended family, that's hard for me at times. And
Mhm.
so I have to go, I want to be
Yep.
there. I want to see everybody, but there's anxiety because of other stuff going on. And so I have to do my own stop, drop, and breathe, and just go, it's okay. And guess what? Everything I think about before I go in there never happens. It works out fine. It's all
Yeah.
okay. I make it a bad situation or a weird situation or an anxiety situation because it's what I'm thinking. It's not what's happening. Now, if I got there and things happened, okay, now let's start reacting. But it's like,
Yeah.
stop making
Yeah.
it stop making it a problem that's not a problem. You
Yeah.
know?
Stop making it something it's not.
Yeah. And again, there's your future tripping. Okay.
Yep.
There I'm creating the
Even
future like, well, it ain't even there yet.
even if it's 5 minutes in the future, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be
Exactly.
years. It could be like in two
Mhm.
minutes. Like, oh my God, oh my
Yeah.
God, when I open the door, what's gonna happen? Oh my God, when I go into the house, what's gonna happen? Right?
You know,
Um,
and I will tell you, yes, at first, the divorce stuff, that was hard because it just didn't know what was going to happen. But I'll tell you what, going through that, it took time. But now I go into it because we're all I mean, obviously we're at a different level than we are, but I don't have that anxiety. I have a little bit, but it's like, why? I go, everything's been
yeah.
fine when you go in there. It may not be what you want to be perfect, but it's all
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
It's okay. And if it wasn't, then okay, I'll leave. If it becomes a situation to where it's so bad, then you just walk out, do your breathing, see if you can go back in. If it's that situation where you can't, then you have to leave. It's okay, you know?
Totally. And then one of the things that's also is like, even if like with regard to like the house, let's say, oh, I want to get something, or I want this outcome to happen in a certain amount of time, and I've got to be willing to
Hmm.
be patient. Um, Sometimes you can just understand that, hey, it's not in my time, it's in God's time,
Yep.
right?
Hmm.
And
Exactly.
maybe there's a different plan, and maybe it's not supposed to be right now, and maybe
Yep.
there's a reason that I don't understand right now. You know what I mean? And that's
Hmm.
okay. And
Exactly.
learning to be okay with that is hard, right? It's
Hmm.
hard because that requires a kind of humility or humbleness or a surrendering energy, right? Saying, hey, I'm okay.
Yep.
But being able to put yourself in that state in those moments when you really have to, um, you know,
Yeah.
it's not
It's
always easy.
and No, it's not. And like I lived in Awatuki, and daughter was that 30 minutes away, 35 were we? Even more than that. Dad was in Cave Creek, dad and stepmom. So I was in the middle kind of.
Hmm.
And yes, I wanted to move, be closer to Ashley, Josh, and the grandkids. But I didn't want to be that far from dad in case something
Hmm.
happened. Okay.
Hmm.
And so then when dad and Shirley decided to sell their house and get into a semi-retirement home, it was just living. It was like, wow, great. And it was cool by the family, kind of, because it made me the responsible one after that. They go, let's get them into Mesa, and that'll be closer to where David is. I'm like, wait a minute, where's everybody else? So it's gonna be me. So dad was over here. And so the house that after he moved in, then I I moved to this house, which I love. By this beautiful house. Thank you, Kelly Khalil, for getting me this house. My realtor. Got to do a shout out to Kelly. Um, the I was 8 miles from Dad, and I'm 2.5 miles from Ashley and the kids. So that was God's
Perfect.
timing. It
Yep.
was right at the time. Yes, Dad has passed. Hi, Dad. But Shirley's still over there. I still, have that great
Hmm.
relationship. She was, basically a great mom to me, my second mom. Um, and so it's like I'm still in this world, and being here, I've done so many things for Ashley and Josh to get the kids to take care. Hey, can you run over there and do this? We need some help over here. It's like it's paid off, and it was in God's time. And I freaked out because like I need to be over there at this time because the babies are born. I want to be taking care of them. I want to be this. It's like that wasn't my job.
Yeah,
That was my job. That wasn't what the job. It's no.
yeah,
They're okay. They're older now. Now it's time for amps to take care of them. Not when they're
yeah,
little babies because
yeah,
I don't know what to do. And I
yeah,
got
yeah,
Ashley when
yeah.
she was 7. So come on, man. So once those kids turn 7, I know what I'm doing. I can take care of them. So yeah. So you just gotta you have to understand where you are is different from where someone else is. Um, if someone's talking to you, trying to pressure you into something at the dinner table, or hanging out, just watching football, or watching games, or playing games, which I do with my aunt and uncle and my cousin. It's so fun. We go over and play Yahtzee galore, and we have great conversations. When you're in that situation, and someone starts talking about stuff, say, "Hey, well, this is where I am, and so know where I'm coming. Be willing to open. It's going to be hard. I'm not going to lie to you. Okay, I'll say prayers all week for you. I will say prayers all weekend for everybody because I know the conversation is going to come up. It's come up for me. Step forward and just do it in a nice way. Just calm and say,
Hmm.
"Hey, this is where I'm coming from. I want you to understand where I'm coming from, and I understand you're in a different space, but this is where I'd like to go. So if you can help me, I'd like to get there." And I
Beautiful.
guarantee you, you just say something and they're going to be, okay, we're on your side. So,
It's beautiful.
yeah. So,
There's a Chinese. I forget how the parable goes. It's something about I don't. This popped in my head on the way home from on the way back to the hotel from work, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm supposed to say it here, but it's like the parable with the story with the horse. Have I said that one? Where it's like guy gets a
no.
horse, and
Hmm.
the neighbor goes, "Oh my God, you have such good luck. You have this beautiful horse," and he goes, good or bad, I don't know, something like that, right? And then
Hmm.
um, the the horse runs away. And the guy goes, "Oh my God, you lost the horse. Such bad luck." And the guy goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And then the horse comes back a week later with 5 other horses that it brought back. And the guy goes, "Oh my God, you have this, now you have 6 horses. You've got such good luck." The guy goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And then the guy's son is trying to break in one of the horses and gets bucked by the horse and breaks his leg. The guy goes, "Oh my God, such bad fortune. Your own son has broken his leg." And he goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And then the next day, the army's coming around to recruit all the young men to enlist into the army to go to war, and they can't take him because he's got a broken leg. And the guy goes, "Oh my God, you have such good fortune. Your son can't go to war." And he goes, "Good or bad? I don't know." And I think it ends there.
Love it.
I'm not sure where that thing ends it, and I think I got it kind of right. But
Hmm.
that whole idea that we don't know,
Yeah.
just like you didn't know when the right time was to buy your house, or you didn't know, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Sometimes we have to surrender our egoic desire to control things, right? And the idea that we know and that we're in control and that and that's hard for people, especially if you don't have some kind of
Yeah.
faith or some kind of, thing. But to understand that, uh, how do we just sort of release that and allow that to take its shape as it will, and we don't know, and it has to, and it allows us to shift perception. One of the things we were talking about is how do you shift your perception of things, right? And the way that in that Chinese parable, how does he shift the perception? He doesn't know. He's willing to just witness everything, right? He's like in witness consciousness. I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. I'm not sure. We'll see how it plays out. I don't know. We'll see
Hmm.
how this plays out. I don't know. And when we get stuck in a specific box of perception, of framework of how we see something, it causes us to react in a specific way. In other words, there's a lens in which we're looking at things, and that lens of beliefs and perceptions and rules and dogma, or whatever you want to call it, conditioning from the world, um,
Hmm.
causes us to look at things in a specific way. It shapes how we interpret things, right? Because we're viewing the world through a lens, and that lens is our belief system. And
Hmm.
we had a story that you were going to share about something that happened with you. I think that it goes right into this. How can
Oh,
perception potentially be different, right?
yeah.
Why don't you share just unadulterated what happened 2 days
Hmm.
ago and a little bit of that whole backstory about how that led up, and then we can talk about how we, how we would
Yeah.
also talk about shifting the perception of what that
Mm.
actually was that
You
happened.
want me to talk about exactly what happened Monday, or go back and talk and then?
Go back a little bit, and then
Oh, go
yes,
back. Okay,
go
okay.
back a little bit.
Yeah, those that don't know, I work in the library. Yes, laugh. Go ahead, giggle. It's okay. And so, uh, in that library, people coming through all the time. I open my library, come in during lunch, have fun. Got to be studying, enjoy, talk. If it's quiet in there, I have a problem because that means you're doing something wrong because you should be talking. So I'm the opposite of what a library should be, I guess sometimes. Um, but it is a safe place for many people. They love it. They love coming there, and I love seeing the kids. They always say hi and say thank you. Um, and so there's this one student came through, and at first, if we're full, we have to close the library. Sorry, we're closed. We're capacity. There's one kid that was very combative and just, I gotta go, I gotta go. And I said, dude, you can't walk through here. We're closed. And he's actually walking through to go in the hallway sometimes, and it's like, you just can't do that. So it wasn't like we fought, but it was a little pushback from each other. And so that became a kind of a contentious thing. But then eventually there was a conversation. I don't know, it was just someone else that brought us together to talk. But he's just doing this, he's doing that. So I said, okay. So I talked to him and said, okay, if you're coming through, that's okay. Just let me know. Don't don't get mad at me and not attack. That's not the word I want to use, but come at me, verbally. Um, just say, hey, I need to go here. I need to go here a little bit. So sometimes he'd say, he'd kind of point or he'd say something, but he would just walk through. I'm like, you know what? He's not causing a problem. He's doing this. So things went on. And so this year, um, he was just wandering through the library a lot. And I'm like, dude, I didn't say anything. Security stops him in the hallway. I was away from that because I talked to admin. I talked to security saying this guy is never in class. This guy's always in my library. This is not good for me. Okay, I just can't handle this. This kid always there. And then at one point he just walked in, and I'm like, dude, you need to go. So I kept telling. I'd walk over to the corner and say, hey, you need to go. You need to go. I don't even know his name. Honest truth, I don't even know his name still to this day. But we know each other. And so then one time he walked into the copy room. I'm like, what in the God's name are you doing? So I walked in and I go, you cannot be in here. This is a teacher area. You need to get out. So I was kind of like corralling him out to the one door. Um, then one time we're sitting there and I have a big reception area. I have my place, Lily's place, and I have a big old area behind me where our student assistants and the workplace. All of a sudden he walks in and just sits down. I'm like, dude, you cannot be in this area. This is a teacher work area. You need to get out of here. And kind of looks at me, leaves. I was like, okay, now I'm getting concerned. And I told
Yeah,
security about it. I told people about it. Um, I
you're
said,
starting to wig out, man. This dude's
yeah. And they go, yeah, he's having some issues. He has some problems at home. We're trying to see what to do. And I go, well, why is he in class? So my brain's just thinking my little world. Why is he in class? And so other things were going on. So
he's
they
a
wound up
student. He
moving.
needs to be in class during classroom hours.
Yeah,
Period.
it's not hard.
Done.
I mean, it's
Very
kind of
simple. Yeah.
basic. Yeah. So they wound up moving him to another school, which is like it's called Desiderata, and it's more of, I don't want to use the wrong words because I don't want to, these poor kids, kids that have issues, and it's very hard. The hard kids, and so he's at that school now. Well, Monday, so he's no longer a student at my school, and so he shouldn't be on campus during the school day. So I'm sitting there, and it was third hour. I was covering a class. So the class is over there. Okay, they're over in I have three areas. I have the research roundup, which has a little bit of computers. The middle area. Then I have kickback corral, which has couches and chairs and kids can sit. So this class I was covering was over in the kickback corral. And so I said, okay, guys, just hang out. I'll get the attendance and I'll come do your work that Coach Kai gave you. So now I get the attendance and I printed it. And so where I'm printing, you can't see the door coming in. Okay. And so everyone's doing their stuff. Lily's right there, my assistant, media tech. And I hear the door open. So I'm like, okay, someone's coming in. Are they with Coach Kai's class? Or are they coming in to have a question? They walk in. And so usually I'll just say, hey, how can I help you? So I look up and I have the attendance in my hand. I literally like this. I'm like this. And I look up and I drop the attendance and I go into freak mode. Um, the kid walks in. He has a ski mask on, the full ski mask with the eyes open right here, where you put your
Balaclava
goggle.
style,
Yeah, what do you call it?
balaclava style, yeah, ski mask, the black
Yeah,
total
um,
full
yeah.
face.
He has sunglasses on where the cutout is for the
Yeah.
ski masks, whatever. Then he has a hood on, a hoodie. Okay,
So he
and
looked
so
full on
and so, mind you, people,
psycho mode.
all the movies I've seen, all the documentaries I've seen, all the
All
news
the
I've seen.
real life that's happened.
Yes, this is a
S-
kid
A
coming to
shooter.
shoot. This
Yes.
is the true, and that's why I
Well,
dropped everything. And went, oh my god! And I couldn't. I did. I just walked right behind him. I got in right behind him, going like, if and my brain's going, if he goes for his pockets, I'm taking him down. There's no questions asked. I'm just trying to figure out how to do it. So my brain is truly freaking out, going through every scenario, and I, no lie, went back to high school and said, what technique do I use to take him down? Do I do it high? Do I do it low? Do I grab the arms? What am I doing? So everything came into my little brain. I mean, you talk about a lot of things going on at one time. It's like, and so I
five
look at
million scenarios in a microsecond.
exactly. And so I look, and I'm kind of like Lily and I are looking at each other because we know who he is. Even though we have the mask on, I know who he is. And so I look, and I'm like, oh my god! And she's like, he's not supposed to be here. In her brain, I can see the look. Well, all of a sudden, we didn't have a chance to push the emergency button, and when that button's pushed, boop, everybody stops, and that's an area everybody goes. Well, I didn't have a chance to push the button. The phone rings, and they say, hey, tell Smithers to stop him and keep him there. And I heard it on the speakerphone. I go, I'm not stopping him. I need security now. So he stops at the pole over here. There's a big old pole in the middle of the area, and he's right by the kids. I mean, he's next to the kids. I mean, if he were just to sneeze, they would be wet. He's that close to him. And I'm like, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. I used other words. Oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. Um, and my brain's going through. I didn't come close to him. I stayed back. I stayed back a ways. I'm just watching him, and I'm watching him. I'm like, one move, one move. I'm like freaking out because I know he's going to make a move, because he was there. And so all of a sudden, in comes. So then he turns and starts walking towards me. Oh, you're talking about freaking out now. I'm like, oh, here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go. And he walks by me, and he's getting ready to leave. He's leaving. And one of our, not a security guard, but one of the guy who works in that department, came in. He goes, come with me. And Derek is one of the guys that has worked with him a lot. And so they have a connection. And so he goes out that door. And then here comes running in security guard. Love you, Blake. Thank you. Security guard comes running in with a new security guard. I think it's Shannon. They come in. He's like, "Where's he at?" I go. He's out there with Derek. They're walking. He goes, "You okay?" I go, "I'm freaking out, dude. I'm freaking out." And he goes, "I was watching the videos." Because he happened to be in watching dispatch. We have videos all over campus. And he goes, I saw him come on campus, which that's a whole other story. I'm not going to get into that, how he even got on campus because he had the mask on. Um, he goes, I saw him walking towards the library. And Blake said, that's when I took off because he knew that guy and I had a beef. Okay. Because we had little discussions. Blake goes, oh my God, ski mask, glasses, hoodie, straight to the library. He coming straight to the library. And so he came in thinking that it was going to be that situation and
Yeah.
thought it'd be me. so, so he takes off and goes. And I will tell you, one of my best friends, Dan Dodge, Sheldon knows Daniel. Dan Dodge is now the director of security or AP APSS, whatever they call him, APPP, whatever. APSS, that's what it is. So he's head of security, new this year, trying to make things different. And I texted my boss and I'm freaking out. She came in, we talked a little bit, and then in about 3 minutes later, the principal sent, and I think my boss sent Dodge to come talk to me because you need to go talk to your friend. He's not doing good. So Dodge comes in, he goes, look at me. How are you? I'm fine. I'm fine. And Dodge goes, I want you to know one thing right now. Not that it mattered because you were already in that mode. You didn't know because there's no guns on him, no weapons on him. He had no threat. but you didn't know that at that moment. It was wrong that he was even on this campus and in your library. I'm sorry. He goes, but no, there was no threat, but you didn't know that. Doesn't take it away, but I need you to know that. And so we had a good 20-minute talk. He helped me, off that ledge because that freaked me out a little bit. Yeah, so that's where we were. And so then I know I'll let you ask questions and we can
So
go from
we
there.
had, when you had shared that story, which is just 2 nights ago, right?
Yeah, so it'd be Monday. Yeah.
So it was just a couple nights ago, and you shared the story, and we had talked about how fortunate you were that you had people that cared about you.
Oh,
The
yes.
security folks, all these people that saw the kid, on the cameras and were rapid responding, running down the hallways to get to you. And then all the people that were checking in later on in that day, right,
Yes.
just to make sure you were okay, to see how you're doing, because everyone knows that having a false alarm of that magnitude, of that appearance, is going to be traumatizing. It
hmm
doesn't matter that nothing happened. That's traumatic to have gone through that, right? Because you
Which is what
felt
Dodge
like,
was saying. Yeah.
yeah,
I
it's
got because
it was real to you in that moment, 100%
hmm
real, and and
yep.
and that's a traumatic experience to go through. And so we were talking about, you know, kind of reframing into, gratitude. Wow, I had so many people that kept coming
And
after me and looking for me, looking out for me, and checking in on me, and that's a beautiful thing, right? What a
and I
beautiful
and I
thing.
and I wanted to say that kudo thanks to all those that did respond and afterwards came in and checked on me. And even that night, some people texted me, said, "Hey,
Yeah,
just checking in. How you doing?"
yeah,
I'm like, oh,
yeah,
wow, didn't think about this. But
yeah,
it's you and I talked about it that too. I think we talked about it last night, or was it? No, it was Monday night. You called me
yeah.
because I shared it with Sheldon, and it, it, I know it's not an ego thing, but it's so cool to have that support. But it's years of being the person that I've been, being like, hey, I'm the I'm the outgoing guy. I care about everybody. I have my grumpy moments, but I'm never angry. I'm never upset at anybody. And so it's good to have that love. And I hope I can always give that love back at times. But it's kind of like, wow, they got my back. They got my back.
And that's what I was kind of saying. Like, hey, a lifetime of being
Mhm.
a good guy and helping people and being a friend and being a good colleague and, you know,
Yeah.
being there for other people. And then when that moment happened, they were there for you. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
they stood
And
up and and that's beautiful just to be able to reflect on it from that perspective. And I think
but
that helped. Go ahead.
I was just saying, and that's not the whole reason we brought up the story. Was to talk about how people were coming for me, but we're talking about how this situation. And Sheldon and I were talking about. Uh, Sheldon, tell him what you thought, because I thought about. I'm thinking like this kid is just was coming. He's angry. He doesn't like me. Blah blah blah. So I saw it from a perspective that this kid would just wander through the library, no respect, no care. And I please understand people. I may say the wrong words, but he's special needs. He's not. He's high functioning, but doesn't talk much. Doesn't He can, but he just doesn't like to talk much. Um, uh, and so he's not in self-contained. He can go to classrooms. So I don't know the word. I'm so sorry, people.
Kind of like on the
Um,
spectrum a little bit.
yeah, yeah, that's the word.
Yeah.
And so
So,
I was like, God, what is going on?
so
Why isn't he listening to me? So go and tell him what you thought of.
yeah. So we were talking that night about, to me, that was a form of like reframing. You're looking at it from this, oh my God, what a traumatic thing, to, oh my God, how lucky am I to have so many people that care about me, right? And so
Hmm
that was a form of reframing it that I think helped that night. But then after we hung up, uh, in my meditation that night, it popped into my head that, um, as anybody who's listened to this podcast knows, I'm all about the energy, right? That you have an energy, we all have energy, and that you have an energy that I think is fundamentally loving and caring for people, right? And yeah, we all have our moments, but overall, there's a
hmm
loving, caring energy that you have, right? And you've created that and changed the library to a place where people want to hang out, whereas before it wasn't that so much, right?
hmm
Like, and that has to do with the what you've created with the energy you have. And it just popped in my head that, this kid is, on the spectrum, special needs. They don't always communicate normally the way, he's not necessarily processing the way we would normally process. He's not articulating the way we would normally articulate, but what he does have is the ability to feel. And many of the special needs are very sensitive energetically. They're actually more sensitive energetically than most of us are because we're in our heads with our mind and our language. They're in their feelings and in their body and in the presence. And maybe what happened was this kid who couldn't express it felt the energy of that space, felt safer and more comfortable in that space, even when you were shooing him off, even when you were kind of being mean. Hey, kid, go to class. What are you doing in here, kid? You know what I mean? Even when you're doing your job and doing all of those things, he still felt the love and the energy of this is just a good energy, a good feeling, right? This place feels
Mhm.
safe for me. This place feels good to me. That's why he's just coming in there and sitting in the office. And you're like, what the hell are you doing? Right? You know what I
Yep.
mean? You're having the normal reaction going, what are you doing in my office? What are you doing back here behind the counter? What are you doing in the copy room? You know what I mean? And yet he's just
Mhm.
sitting there thinking, I just want to be in this space. This feels good to me. This feels safe to me. I'm going to go sit here. I need to stand here. I need to be over here by this person, right? And he's not saying anything. So he's not articulating any of that. So it just feels weird, right?
Yeah.
But,
For me. Yeah.
yes, for you, from the perspective of just normal communication, right, that feels weird. But maybe that's what it was. Maybe what was going on there was here's a kid who actually felt more connected to you than anybody and safer around you than anybody and just wanted to stand there
Yeah.
and didn't know
And I
how to
didn't know that. Yeah.
communicate.
Because
And and we don't
because the
know
first
that.
thing no, we don't know. And by the way, this is all speculation. We're like, wow, that could be, you know, answer A. We have answer A,
Yeah,
B, C, and D. We don't know the answers yet. But I will tell you, he came right onto campus, went straight to the library. He didn't go
yeah,
anywhere else. And now, as Sheldon said that, I was like, wait, he came straight to the library, didn't have any weapons, not that I knew that, but that was
yeah,
his maybe that was his he was coming from another school. He wasn't even supposed to be on campus. So maybe there were problems at that other school that he needed to come here to have his safe space.
yeah.
I
He
don't
just
know. I'd love to sit
missed the
down and talk to
vibration.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and good or bad, who knows? Yeah, I don't know.
And sometimes and as we talked about that earlier, and understand people, we were just this is just stuff we were talking about before. Like, hey, this is something good we should talk about. So know that this is not scripted whatsoever. When we talk about these things, we talked about stuff earlier that meant like 30 minutes ago. So we're sitting there having that conversation about we put parameters, we put boxes, we put fences around ourselves and going like, well, this kid's a problem. This kid's doing this. That's what
Yeah,
my world was coming from. Well, that
yeah,
kid just wanted to come in and just have a safe space.
yeah.
Um, and
He
I
dressed a
and
certain way. He looked a certain way. He is a certain kind of person. He's a threat. You know what I mean? And
yep,
so again, that might be that's kind of almost an extreme example, but that's that whole thing about belief systems, right? We have belief systems. We've been, you know, trained into a certain way by experience, and those things are real, right? People do have these things, right? But when they look like that and they're wearing those glasses with a hoodie and a boom, 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 that dude's the Unabomber or whatever. You know what I mean? That dude's out to do something bad, and maybe he just is shy, didn't want to look at people in the eye, so he puts his glasses on, right? You know what I mean? He
yeah,
doesn't want to talk to people, so he puts a hoodie on. You know what I mean? We don't know, and maybe it's
hmm
all of those things, and all he wanted to do was hang out in the library because that felt good
yeah,
to him, and he did it
and
because why? He has no filter to do anything other than just do it,
yeah,
and
and he
who
couldn't
knows?
express that to me. He couldn't express that
Yes,
to me, which
yeah,
now I wonder, I'm like, huh, I got to think about that. But not that I'm going to go like, oh, here comes this kid in the mask. I'll go, hey, maybe he just wants to have a safe space. No, I still got to have to react. I'm sorry.
yes,
So there shouldn't be a kid with the kind of the ski
sure,
mask you're talking about, with the goggles, with the hoodie, walking down the campus. That's first off. Okay, we'll leave it at that one.
yeah,
But I will tell you, it was how cool, and I just want you to know this isn't an ego thing. I want you to understand about the aura that Sheldon's talking about stuff that I didn't know. Okay, I don't know. I don't know anything about libraries. Anybody that knows me, listen to this, that knows me, are still laughing that I whenever I say the word librarian, and they're like, yeah, okay, that is nah. My mom was laughing and God are laughing too. So thank you guys because they pushed me into it. So um, the second year that I was in the library, so my first real year that I was the librarian, first year was just a long-term sub. Then I became the librarian. Um, Natalie Nearhart, shout out to Natalie. Um, she'd do surveys, and she says, "Where's your safe?" She sorry, now they don't know your title, but she brings people together, does classes, does workshops, does groups. Hey, how you doing? Kind of counseling stuff. But uh, and she'd do a survey and ask kids, "Where's your safe space on this campus?" Just to know, so she knew where the safe spaces were for these kids. And she came to me, and it was during Christmas. We're setting, doing all the Christmas stuff, and yes, we're putting up Hanukkah, we're putting up Christmas, we're putting up Kwanzaa, we're putting it all up. Okay, just so you know. And she's sitting there, and she goes, "Oh, I just did a survey." She came to tell me about the survey. She goes, in all the years I've been doing this, she goes, libraries have never been in the top 15, at least not the top 10. She goes, "I want you to know you're number two." I go, "What?"
Wow.
She goes, "Kids said this is a safe place for them." I go, "Here?" She goes, "You make it safe. The kids feel that they can come in here and just be themselves. It's okay who they are. They can talk. You're not going to be mean. And if you are a little loud, that means I'm doing something wrong. I need to follow the rules because I haven't been following the rules." And I go, "Wow, so I'm a safe space?" They're like, "I ain't no safe space." But wow, but how cool is that? Because that's just, and I will tell you, one of the greatest stories of that library, telling you about these kids, these freshman kids would sit in this corner over in the research roundup, sit in the corner because we couldn't see them. Okay, you want to play that game? I put up barriers so they had to sit so we could see them. Well, the kid sat right in front of us at the very end of the library. I'm like, "Oh, that's stupid, dumb criminals." So they're sitting there eating one day, and you're not supposed to be eating. And I go, so I walk over and like, I go, "No, no, stop, stop, stop. Don't put stuff away." I go, here's how it's going to go, guys. And they're the hoodlums, the little brat freshman kids, I mean, hoodlum, brat, freshmen all go together. Sorry, I didn't mean it that way, but they all were. And boys. So we're sitting there, and I go, "Guys, I'm not harping on you. I mean, I don't mind if you eat, just clean up yourself. As long as you clean up, and I don't know you've been here eating, I don't care. I don't care right now. Don't come here and have a 7-course meal. Come in here and have your little snack, have what you need to have, but you clean up when you leave." And I walked away. Days later, maybe weeks later, I'm walking through, and there's this box, the milk, the chocolate milk box, sitting on the floor. And I'm walking by, I go to pick it up, and the leader of that group was sitting there. He goes, "No, no, 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 Mr. Smith, I got it, I got it, I got it." He goes, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." I go, "What?" He goes, "I was playing basketball." I go, "I got it." He was going like, "No, I'm sorry, that wasn't meant to be there." Instead of saying
Yeah.
like, "Hey, let him pick it up." So it was
Yeah.
that I had respect, I showed them respect, and they started showing it back immediately. And
That's
so it's
beautiful.
like, it's hard because I want to go beat the snot out of little brats because they're being brats. But it's just like, "Hey guys, let's just work together here." And
Yeah.
and I think that's a lot of, gosh, that may bring it right around to full circle in politics. Just show a little respect for each other and understand where you're coming from. Like, yeah, they're freshman boys, they're little brats, they're gonna leave trash. But if just, "Hey guys, do this and I'll work with you. I don't care if
Yeah.
you bring food in here. Let's just hang out."
Just keep it
And so
clean.
then yeah, and then we could work back and forth. And guess what? They would come through. "Hey, Smith, how you doing?" Fist pump. That point on, I was like, "Wow, these are the brats." But I think that's one big thing. Okay, I'm gonna make it our homework right now. So this may be early, so premature
Yep. No,
homework
I think we're
is,
good.
yeah, is sit there, and one, yes, there's going to be a battle because of where I believe, what you believe, but let's show respect in a kind way, and just say, "Hey, here's where we are," um, and understand that you're coming from a totally different place that I am. And we talked, that brings us into that middle part of helping each other out. How do I get through it? Because it's different than how you get through it. When do I buy a house and when do you buy a house are two different worlds. And so, one, respect the other person for who they are and say, "Hey, let's talk this through." Second, respect them for where they are. And hopefully they will respect from where you are. Whether I'm poor and you're rich, or vice versa, or we're both in the middle, um, we understand each other, where we're coming from. And then around that dinner table, I'm hoping around that dinner table, you guys just understand that everyone wants to love each other in one way or another. Sometimes showing it in an aggressive, mean way is their own way to show love. But if we can step out and
And they
try and
want to be
bring that,
loved. They
yes.
want to be loved. They want to
Hmm.
be heard, respected, loved.
Yeah.
And
And maybe we
sometimes
could start that. Let's
yeah, and they
start
don't know
that.
how to
Let's
show that. So
Yeah.
sometimes people don't know how to show that. So they
Hmm.
get a little bitey, you know.
Yeah. So
But
so
really what
here's
they need is love.
here's a major extra credit. This is a lot of extra credit, man. I went to buy you cervezas and food and everything for a couple of years. If you guys can do this, um, at that at that dinner table, let's try and make that and find that spot where I can make it more love than aggression. If someone's having a hard time, try and stay. Don't go like, "Hey, I want to give you love. Stop it. Stop doing that. I'm trying to give you love. All you want is love. All you want is love." That becomes an argument. Just say, how can I talk to that person? Or what can I show that person that's going to bring them to love and stop the bitterness? So you're going to have to dig deep within you and sometimes have to, be humble. But if you can, if everything's honky dory and great at that dinner table and everyone loves, hallelujah, it's exciting. But if you see someone having an issue, see how you can help bring that into a love situation. And maybe then everybody will be like, hey, let's all just have a good time. So that's a challenge. That's the extra credit challenge. So because that's gonna
Yes.
be tough. It's tough at times. so oh, what is the Beatles?
And you can even
Love is all we need.
yep, and you can surrender it with a quick little prayer. Lord, help me
Yes.
to be the be the voice of compassion and reason and understanding in this moment.
Yep. And
You know,
and just
Lord,
just
Lord,
say it
help me
before you
to
even walk in.
yeah, yeah. Lord, help me to be you know
A channel of love. A
a
channel of
channel of
love.
love and
Yeah,
and guide me to say the right things when I need to.
exactly. The right time, the
Uh,
right space, and give
yeah,
me the courage to do it.
and give me the
Because you're
courage to
gonna
do
need
it.
that. You're gonna need that.
Yeah,
Hey.
and that's
And I would do it before you even go into a dinner.
yeah.
You're driving, going like, Lord, just say it. Just here we go. I'm in on it. I'm game with you. Here we go. Let's get this.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. You know, it's just like, hey, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It can just be a quiet little moment. Bam.
mhm.
You
Yeah.
know, and you can do it right in that moment if somebody says something too. You know, Lord,
Yes.
help me to say the right thing in this moment. Boom. Take a deep breath and go, well, what did you mean when you said that? Whatever that comes out from that moment, um,
And
when you've taken that
Sheldon,
moment to pause and
yes.
release
And
that.
what you just said is huge. When people are talking, you want to already be thinking of an answer, or you want to answer and interrupt them.
Mhm.
Don't just stop, listen, pause. Everyone's gonna have a hard time with the pause because no one likes quiet for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it's like so say, okay, hold on. And once they're done talking, say, hold on, let your thoughts go and say, okay, then respond. So instead of interrupting them or not listening to them and thinking of a response too quickly, listen to what they have to say. Because guess what?
And
That's
and asking.
99% and
Yeah.
asking. Yeah, that's
Mhm.
90% of calming them down.
Mhm.
So just hear what they have to say. It's like, oh, that's where you're coming. And oh, I didn't know you're coming from there. My
Yeah.
bad. And I will tell you honestly, um, little tear, I'll breathe. Like I have not had a good relationship with my nephews, my brother's kids, for quite a while, and it's always been contentious. I don't know why, um, but we're all Smithers, so we're all just that ornery little, grumpy old men, and whatever it is. And so after dad's passing, there was a little bit of contention. But Dustin reached out to me and my nephew, and we talked, and he's getting married. And so he asked for my address. Want to talk about his wife, wanted me to meet her, his fiance, wanted me to meet her, and all this, and just a good little conversation. And so we're going to get together and talk and just kind of catch up. And I'm going like, wow, that's so cool. So just know that it can happen, okay? Because I didn't think it was coming, and that came from
Yeah.
him to me. It
Yeah.
wasn't me to him.
Yeah.
So, and you know what I did? They're twins. I sent them a birthday wish on their birthday in November. It was the beginning of November, and didn't get a response from them. Didn't expect one. Whatever. Be that way. But then guess what? He responded to me by just wanting to reach out about the wedding, about his fiance. So maybe that's all it took is one, hey, happy birthday.
Yeah.
So you never
You
know.
never know.
You never know.
You
You
never know.
never know. So
It's
have that
beautiful, dude.
peace, have that happiness, take that breath. Okay,
Yep.
stop, drop, and breathe real quick. Maybe a quick one, or maybe just while you're driving, just relax, and then and just try and bring peace into this season. And
Yeah.
not only politics, but also Thanksgiving. okay, of being around family. Make it a great time because you know how many more you have, and and understand people around you. Like with that kid in the library. I mean, it may have been I. It makes me rethink. Sheldon, that may have been his little safe space, and I didn't know that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
no one will. Who knows?
Yep.
Or maybe he was there just
So
to make me angry. I don't know. Maybe he does know what he's doing.
good, bad, who knows? I don't know.
That was yeah. I don't know. Good answer. Good, bad. I don't know. Oh, that's a good answer, brother. I love that. Well, that's great. I
So
think that's a wrap, man. It's
that's a wrap. Thanks
yeah,
for
it's
listening.
exciting. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving holiday. If you're listening to it afterwards, I hope you have a good Christmas holiday. I hope you have a good holiday, whatever day is coming up. Hope
Yep.
you have a good day,
Yeah.
and make sure you just try to find the love in people and try to help be that love and that peace channel as it comes through you. So, and always keep that smile on and make it a great day. So,
And if you're listening right now, like, share, subscribe, and share it with somebody. How's that?
and come back and after the holidays, come back and say, yeah, this is what I did. This is a great thing. And guess what? I did this, and this, and life was good at the table. We don't. That'd be great
Yes.
to hear. It really
Yes.
would be.
Us.
So
Awesome. Awesome. Take
awesome.
care.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Sheldon. Love you, brother.
Love you.